All right, guys. Today we're talking about absolute value. We're also going to talk about symbols of inequality, but that'll come second. First up, absolute value. Anybody know what absolute value does? Anybody know what the symbols look like, actually? Because we got to actually be careful that there's these symbols and then there's these symbols. Which ones are the absolute value symbols? Top or bottom? What do you think, Jordan? You agree or disagree? Fair enough. You're right. Yeah, the top ones are absolute value. You have to be very careful about that. And that's one reason why we're working on taking notes in this class and writing things down, is you have to get your penmanship down to the point where, like, you can make these bended brackets, or you could write up in the exponent spot real carefully, because that's going to be a big part of showing your work. So yeah, those are the absolute value brackets. The absolute value, when you see those brackets and you get an answer from them, it tells you how far away from 0 the number inside the brackets is. And since we're talking about distance, it's always going to be a positive number that comes outside of the brackets. All right, let's talk for a minute. Distance away from 0. Let's talk about this first one. You see how there's straight up brackets on that 10? What's the absolute value of 10? How far away from 0 is it? How many spaces? Joe? Yeah, it's 10 spaces. If you wanted to look at this in terms of a picture, right? Check this out. It'd be 10 units away from 0. And so we say the absolute value of 10 is just 10. But how about negative 10? What's the absolute value of that one? Yeah, it's 10. Excellent. Way to go, guys. Yeah. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10 because it's 10 spaces away from 0. So there you go. And now for an easy one, how about absolute value of negative 3? 3. It's kidding. All right, let's go on. But then they start, you know, how it gets more complicated in here is they start to put stuff inside the parentheses. What do you think about that? Anybody have any ideas for number 4? What's up? It's 2. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Well, first of all, let's clean up the parentheses. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. Whoa. Come on, computer. It's 2. Elizabeth, finish it off. What's the absolute value of 2? What do you think? Do you trust them? You're unsure. Pick a number. 5, 6. Yeah. All right, girl. What's the absolute value of 2? Yeah, it's just 2. Very nice. That's it. Great job. I know. I know. So let's do number 5. Same thing, but instead of it being like same thing except it's subtraction right in between. What's 4 minus 7? Yeah, negative 3. Thanks, Edgar. Negative 3. So it's going to be absolute value of negative 3 plus 2. How much is the absolute value of negative 3? 3. So then we get 3 plus 2, and that's 5. Yep. And finally, that last one. Now, some people I understand can do this kind of stuff in their head. No problem. I totally appreciate that. What's the absolute value of, what's 5 minus 10? Yeah, negative 5. Absolute value of negative 5 is just 5. How much is 5 minus 12? Negative 7. Very nice. Yeah. So take a look. I told you absolute value always has to be positive. That's true. The absolute value always has to be positive. But it could be the case that the equation as a whole turns out to be a negative. So be careful of that. It's a little sneaky. So the second part of our lesson is we got to talk about symbols of inequality. And this is going to deal also with word problems and translating word problems into math and also translating math back into word problems. So take down this chart, and then we're going to go over how to read through each one and write it down. So here we go. Here's this. These are inequality symbols on the left-hand column over here. Here's how we might use them in terms of describing an answer. Now let's talk about this first one. Can anyone read that first one for me? How would you say it in English? These 3 symbols, mathematical symbols next to each other. Let's go with Joe. Yeah, 9 is greater than 2. The next one reads 2 is less than 9. So 9 is greater than or equal to 2. Yeah, 2 is less than or equal to 9. That's what that fourth one is. And finally, we have that fifth one on the list. Fifth one. What happens when you take an equal sign, you put a slash through it? What's that mean? Shoot. Yeah, not equal to. So how would you say that fifth statement? I'm sorry. Yeah, 9 is not equal to 2. And so now that we know how to read these statements, that's super important, we are going to do a little bit of true-false. All right, let's do this. Let's do this, man. Number 1. Number 1. What do you think? Edgar. Edgar, yeah, man. It's definitely true. I would rather owe you $3 than owe you $5. So negative 3 is actually greater than negative 5. Another way to think of it is negative 3 is closer to all the positives than negative 5. Okay, what about 2? Elizabeth? It's definitely false. Yeah, negative 4. Negative 4 is no way greater than 0. How about 3? Eric? True? Yeah, 12 minus 5 is 7. 7 is greater than 2. 4? Edgar? 14 is less than or equal to 14. Yep, it's true because of that little bottom bar, which says it could be equal to as well. What about 5? Vanessa? True. Yeah, absolute value of 20 is 20. So 20 equals 20, and that's true. How about 6? Hold on. Alexis. False. Let's see. Absolute value of negative 7 is 7. 7 is not less than 7. Alexis, you are definitely right, buddy. But what about 7? Alexis. Yeah, 7 is true. Alexis, why? What's up? Because of the bar underneath. You're the man. Couldn't have said it any better. Finally, let's finish it. Let's take it home for the day. 8. Joe. 8. Let's see. 21 greater than or equal to 21. Whoops. It's definitely true. Joe, you're the man. That's all the notes that I have for today. Let's get to your homework.